Hey, what's going on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everyone who's watching this video as of today and present with me. My name is King Damu. Again, my name is King Damu. And the topic of what I'm going to be talking about is waging war on American soil. Okay? This war is already prophesied within the Bible to come. So we're going to have to expect this here. The last thing that I'm trying to do is put fear in you, because it is not in me to try and to put fear within you. But what I'm going to explain is I'm going to explain the numerous of events that will happen, that shall come, that should take place in order for this war to come. Okay? Now, everyone is talking about the enemy. The enemy, the enemy, the enemy, the enemy. It's good to talk about the enemy, or about overcoming the enemy. But when the time comes to take action, to take affirmative action, to do what we need to do, to overcome and to deprive this enemy power over us, what are we going to do? What are we going to do when it's time for affirmative action? For one, in order to defeat the enemy, we have to know the enemy. In order to know the enemy, we have to have the proper research and information in order to know the enemy. Because if we do not know the enemy, how can we ever go to war with the enemy? That would not be intelligently enough if we go to war without plotting, planning, and strategically thinking. That is unintelligent. You cannot go to war or engage a war or get your troops and get your soldiers and your warriors ready for war if you do not know the enemy. You do not know about the enemy. You don't know what the enemy is capable of. And faith has nothing to do with it. Because if faith had anything to do with engaging war, you can take a knife to a gunfight and win it. You can win in a war with a knife fight, engaging someone with the gun, but only if you are strategically thinking, which comes back to plotting, planning, and strategically thinking. Okay? Now, let's break down who is the enemy. I hear a lot of religious institutions that is based within America and spreading out around the world also. Okay? And these religious institutions make people believe that they are engaging into a spiritual warfare. A spiritual warfare. It's okay to engage into a spiritual warfare. Because if you are engaging in a spiritual warfare, you are fighting against demons. You are fighting against spirits. You are fighting against something that is evil. You are fighting against something that is wicked, something that is negative, something that is not fruitful. And if you're fighting against that, then you are fighting for something that is right. But you're fighting in the wrong ways. And the reason why you are fighting into the wrong ways is because of the capacity of thinking of your way to fight. You are using the wrong techniques. You have the wrong tools to fight with. Goes back to say, you're engaging in a gunfight, but you're bringing knives. And you're telling the people that you're engaging within a spiritual warfare and doing nothing but setting your army up and yourself for failure. This spiritual warfare is in no doubt that is within the religious institutions. 99.5% of the time is against Satan. Satan is the enemy or the oppressor. Now let's break down who is this enemy that we are engaging in spiritual warfare. Again, if we are going to war with the enemy, we have to know about the enemy. Satan is neither a spirit. Satan is neither a human. The reason why he is not a spirit, because when the body is dead, when the body is deceased, the spirit comes out of the body. When the spirit comes out of the body, it turns to an energy. Once the energy comes into a body, it turns to the frequency of a spirit. Because the average body temperature, which is on average of 97.5 to 98.3%. And by the body temperature and how hot it is within the body, that energy that goes inside of the human body and the anatomy, that frequency can no longer be at the low level of an energy. So it turns to a spirit. So if that spirit is outside the body and the body is deceased and it's an energy, then Satan must be an energy. If Satan is an energy, then that contradicts the doctrine of the Bible and the whole Bible, which carries the doctrine. So we have exited that out. Because if Satan is an energy, then this contradicts the whole Bible. So we're going to exit that because we're not going to contradict the Bible. Satan is not human. He's not a man nor a woman. Reason being is because the attributes that's in the Bible are what they give Satan. One man cannot serve that purpose and cannot serve the definition of what Satan does within the Bible, unless he has amassed a large group. So he's neither one. So what is Satan? Who is Satan? Okay? This is the enemy. We have to know the enemy. We have to know the enemy. And I'm going to break down the enemy. Satan has been around for centuries. And every century he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Of course, he falls, but after a certain period of time he comes back, just like in the book of Revelations, when he was put into the bottomless pit. And as he was put in the bottomless pit, he released 1,000 years later. Okay. Let's start breaking down who Satan is. What Satan is an infrastructure. An infrastructure is an organization.